Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission, highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Homeless Veteran Transition Program Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain, here flying the plane by myself, so I have to stay alert and awake the whole entire time. Don't have a co-pilot that can take over the steering wheel, but I had a cup of coffee before I came in today, so I'm ready. But even before we get into the amazing guests I have today, as you know, this would not be the Common Good Radio Show if I did not give grace to a very loving God that makes this all possible. I usually thank him with the Lord's Prayer that goes a little something like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So all that being said, I got one of a couple amazing guests that we have in studio here today. We have kind of a torch carrier, if you will. Like, let's just say, like, this is like this is the Olympic Games of Tucson, and we have one man who picked up a torch that had been, lit and carried for 40 years by, a pillar in the community. And now he continues, carrying it on, making his own name, own legacy around what is called Tucson Tool Shop. Was once named Kent's Tools. Certainly, if you're not familiar with this establishment, you probably haven't lived in Tucson very long, just because it's just such a pillar of the city. And I say all that to say, welcome, Billy, to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always fun having you here. Definitely, at this point, it's like having a cousin back in studio again, because it's just like,
I love it every time.
Yeah, it's great.
Wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, today's the day.
Today's
get to go
the
hang
day.
out.
Yeah, you're like, can I do it again this week? No, Billy, not again this week.
I gotta remember to save room for other people.
Yeah, we got other friends, Billy.
Yeah.
We got other friends, but for sure. But so for people who aren't familiar, just they must have just moved here to Tucson and don't know what the Tucson Tool Shop is, and don't know weren't familiar with Kent's Tools. Fill them in.
Or for people that have been driving by it for years and never stopped in. I hear that one all the time too.
Yeah, those people.
Yeah. We're right on Grant and Stone. We're just a new and used tool shop. Everything you can think of, any kind of tool, specialty, homeowner, professional, from machinist and carpentry and other woodworking and landscaping to mechanics and aircraft and plumbing, electricians, and I can keep going all day.
Yeah. Is there, as you're saying that, is there any type of like trade tools that you can think of that you wouldn't have?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Okay.
And if I don't have it in the store, I can get it there within 2 days or overnight.
And that's and we'll probably speak about that more here in a little bit, but that's a cool thing about you and going to your shop is like, it's like having someone in the industry on your side, like someone who can help you figure it out.
Yeah,
like even if you can't necessarily do it, you can help.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that level of expertise. And a question like that's been kind of picking at me since I last had you on the show was, and I've been to your shop and I've seen all these different tools, particularly like tools. I have no idea what they do. I'm not as we've discussed before, I'm not the most handy man. So, it's just like, it's some of this stuff's foreign to me, but the question that kept coming to my mind is like, I bet he knows special ways to clean tools. So, and we were talking about that before the studio, so I'll let you share that with the people that are listening, because I'm sure they're curious as well.
Yeah, there's a few different things that I do to try and help people clean up their tools. One is called a rust eraser.
Okay.
And it looks exactly like a pencil eraser, just a little different chemical stuff in there. And you can put it on, rub on the tool, and help some of the rust and the grime over the years come off and make it look newer.
Nice.
You can also use like a wire brush or nylon brush with the rust eraser, or some WD-40 and carb cleaner also helps out too.
Okay, interesting. And that there is already way more than I knew. You don't even want to know what I would have probably tried, but I appreciate that. But in that same vein, we've discussed before on the show, you guys don't necessarily, people bring you their pressure washer, bring you their tools, and you fix it necessarily, but you're willing to help guide people on that type of stuff?
Yeah, most definitely.
Mhm.
Especially if it's something that I've personally done. I like to share my experiences and help people do things so they don't have to pay somebody to do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
Anything I can do to help to try and facilitate them fixing their tool instead of throwing it away and buying another one,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than happy to do.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like about Tucson Tool Shop and just you in general, is like with Tucson Tool Shop, kind of like with my personal mechanic shop. Like I feel like I got my own tool guy. Like if there's something I need to know, like whether it's a machine or it's a system or it's even just kind of like basic tips.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're always there for me to go to those things. So that always works out great. But I know, like, every time I talk to you, you always make mention of a boneyard.
Yeah.
That you guys have. Elaborate on that.
It's a big shelving unit like you would see at Home Depot, big metal thing, like 3 levels, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a bunch of the not necessarily older, but some older, some newer tools that have that I was not able to save, that we pile up back there.
Mm-hmm.
So if your tool is broken or you need a specific part for something, I can take you out there and we can dig through it together and try and
Nice.
find it and help you pull it off to fix yours.
Nice. So it's almost like a pull apart for
tools. Yeah.
For tools.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I did. Yeah. So I mean, and it's like, again, I'm not the most handy guy, but I have been a contractor in my day. I have had, whether it was paint sprayers, pressure washers, sand blasters, just these little teeny little parts that you really can't find anywhere. Or if you do, it's like it's not doesn't fit exactly right. So that definitely will be helpful next time I have one of those issues. You're certainly going to be exactly where I run. But I imagine, like, with this boneyard, or just with this like collection of toys, you have a guy who is actually pretty handy. I guess you have like projects that you work with on your own.
Yeah, I do. I do my own things. A couple weeks ago, my daughter broke her little crown that she loved so much, an Elsa one, and I took it to the shop and fixed it up and made it look beautiful again for her, and she still uses it. But I'm also right now working on a breast drill for my mother-in-law, Kathy. She said it was her grandfather's, and it had been out in the weather and rusted and all that. So I've got it soaking in a transmission bath, and I'm gonna bring it back to life, restore it, repaint it, and make it look beautiful so she can use it again.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we've spoke a lot. I mean, I don't know how to. I feel like I belabor the point of like just how many kind of tool goodies you guys have over at your shop. We spoke about you have these trailers in the back, like people see the 18-wheelers pulling, just filled with just like every kind of different type of tool you could possibly think of. But also, you guys are still getting in new stuff as well.
Yeah.
So speak to that a little bit.
Well, the trailer's out back, one whole trailer. It's like it's kind of like a half 18-wheeler, but it has a ton of just like sockets. New in the manufacturer's packaging sockets, some that are magnetic, some are just impact. But everywhere from like a quarter drive 5.5 millimeter socket up to half and 3/4 inch drive sockets, and there's tons of that in that one trailer. And then a lot of back stock of abrasive stuff like cutoff wheels for your grinders or your bench grinder. We have the grinding wheels and the big like 14-inch grinder wheels for like the cement chop saws.
There are people listening right now that understand what you're saying. But speak to the new stuff that you came in. We have probably about 30 seconds, so we have to jump out of here.
I have some brand new Husqvarna 14-inch gas-powered concrete cutoff saws, 2 of them that came in. They passed the clearance and they're ready to go out. I also, before I came in today, picked up some welding tanks and carts that are going to be ready to go here within the next day or two after I check them out and make sure that they're up to my standards.
That's cool. And so for people who want to stop by the place or want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
The easiest way, 133 East Grant, 1 block east of Stone on the north side of the road. Call me on the phone at the shop, 520-624-8098. TucsonToolshop.com, TucsonToolshop@gmail, or my personal cell phone you can get me is 520-633-5599.
Well, thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. That's Billy with Tucson Tool Shop. This is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McLean. As always, thank our sponsors, Proper Villains, for Tucson, We Care Tucson, 100-plus guys who give, White Stallion Ranch, our favorite Tucson Tool Shop, Don Till Dust Landscaping, Arizona Choice, Home Care Solutions, Home Dealers Global, CB2PGA, and Pep Inc.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McLean, Tucson's favorite family show.
This is a fun job, I must say. You know, Martin, this is a good time. I like doing this Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McLean. Happy to be here. I feel so very blessed, and I say that also because not only do I have Martin, who's one of my good friends in studio, uncomfortably taking a picture of me right now, but I have some other what have become really, really good friends of mine, you know, kind of just part of my family, part of my village, Matt and Leah Crandall with Desert Sunset Realty and Hero Breakfast. So thank you both for being here once again.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. And every time I have you guys on the show, I feel like something changes within the real estate industry as a whole. But
all the time.
But it feels like more than ever, there's been some like major changes that have happened in the past year that have really kind of like set in, and there's almost like now this industry standard being created again in regard to what is the process in initiating a contract with a new client, and what is like what are you telling them, or what does that look like versus before. So usually you're the one I go to fill me in, so let's not keep that secret for ourselves. Let's share that with everybody else, particularly we were talking about before the show that initiation, like when you first sign with a real estate agent. Before, like when I'll speak to my own experience. When I first signed with my real estate agent, we bought our house back in, I believe it was 2021. I really didn't know how much my real estate agent made. I didn't know how much the other real estate agent made. I didn't know, these
Who
other
paid who.
fees that were involved that were kind of like outside of my hands and control, but were being taken out of the transaction clandestinely almost. So speak to that kind of like that.
No more secrets.
Yeah, that process of like the unveiling of things up front versus it seems like you're maybe getting a lot of that information at the closing before, or maybe you weren't. Like me, I still don't know how much my real estate agent made from our house.
Well, in a nutshell, you just get the information up front.
Okay.
Our procedure is pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks different to the consumer, especially if you don't already have an established relationship.
Okay.
So a lot of buyers who don't necessarily have an agent yet, what initiates the contact is wanting to see a property.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, nothing was required to do that. Now there is something required, and we do have to have an agreement. And it doesn't have to be a year-long commitment to work with this person when you buy. It can just be a one-time agreement.
Okay.
But it has to be outlined who gets paid and how.
Interesting. And so in that, you're saying it doesn't, before it had to be a 1 year agreement when you signed with
No,
real estate
that was
agent?
just, it was customary that
okay.
if you had a relationship with an agent, the customary time frame
Was a
for
year.
a listing or a buyer, when you're shopping and looking at houses, it could take months. And then to close, it could take months. If you build, it could take even longer. So typically a time frame to work with someone was about a year.
Yeah. And now it's detailed more up front than it was before.
Right. Right now, that was never required. That was just best practice.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, most agents just didn't do that. but it's not any different now other than it is required.
Okay.
And there's actually a document that gets signed, so it's a agreement that both parties understand, and it is for a length of time that terminates at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a day. So there is an option of a one-time showing so that people aren't afraid to ask to see a property, that you don't need to commit to someone that you've never met and a complete stranger that now you're going to work with them.
Yeah.
Almost like an interview for a real estate agent if you wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm. And then with the other real estate friends, real estate agent friends I speak to, it seems like, is there a fixed percentage that real estate agents can charge versus not charge, or is it's just a matter of they have to be upfront with what they are not charging?
They can charge whatever they want. Real estate commissions are not set by law and are always negotiable.
Okay.
So whatever is agreed to is agreed to up front, and it's not supposed to change. But things do change for reasons throughout a transaction. You know, sometimes credits are issued, things like that. Sometimes maybe the seller's not offering what the buyer's agent charges.
Yeah.
So those are conversations that get had, and you don't want it to be to the detriment of your client. So it's important to pick someone that you trust and that you can rely on to work with, so they can get you through that without being surprised.
Yeah. And outside of like just the interest rate changes that have been weird since 2020, what major changes have happened in the industry that you've had to adjust to, and how have you adjusted to that?
Primarily, the adjustment is just the conversation, because how we've always done it, like I said, best practice is to have the paperwork and to have the relationship and to explain how you get paid and where it comes from. Buyers don't necessarily pay their agents directly, but it is involved in the transaction, and it's important for them to understand how, because it does indirectly affect their offer and how they compare to another offer to the same seller.
And I'll segue this just because I think there is a good connection that at the last event that we were at together, particularly I got to meet Karen, who, as we said at the event, Karen referred to you as one time her right hand, her left hand, and her brain. And she was just such a wealth of knowledge, and what she can kind of offer around this subject. And she was talking about Homes for Heroes. Is that what it's called?
She has a program, and just to shout out Karen Fisher with Cross Country Mortgage.
Absolutely.
She actually has been in the business forever. I waited on her when I was a teenager, and I happened to be licensed, and she hired me on the spot.
Yeah.
And that was just a fun story because it was 30 years ago. But
no, I don't believe it.
yeah, she's a wealth of information and knowledge, and she has programs for specifically for military veterans, hero first responders, that sort of thing. And they have special programs that give them extra benefits and credits and things that aren't available to everyone.
And it wouldn't be a surprise that now you find yourself, you and Matt, leading Hero Breakfast, which is kind of your own initiative off of Desert Sunset Realty.
Good lead-in.
I know.
That was great.
that it's now taken off a life of its own. But I guess let you speak to that, Matt, because you always represented so beautifully.
Now we do run the Hero Breakfast, and we take heroes to breakfast, try to thank the unsung and unseen. In Tucson, you can nominate a hero through herobreakfast.com. If you believe they're a hero, we believe they're a hero. But we also do a networking event on the third Wednesday of every month, and it does bounce around a little bit. But for now, we've found a semi-permanent home at the Station Pub and Grill in Marana. And we had a great event last time. You were there. Karen was there. I think we had 25 total.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, it was a heartfelt story and an excellent conversation, that's for sure. But, the event's always fun because we do something a little more entertaining than the average event, and we make people learn about each other and present for their partners, so it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We still get great feedback because it's
Yeah.
different than average networking events, and it's a lot of fun, and it is different, and it's nice to be a part of that because it changes it up a little bit.
Well, it's just a special initiative as a whole. I mean, the Hero Breakfast is just kind of like something that you guys have created, thanking our first responders and the heroes in our community, whether it's through the breakfast itself that you guys do quarterly or roundabout, or the networking event that you do the third Wednesday of every single month. It's great, and you've spoken to. I won't have you show behind the veil too much on kind of some of the dreams you've spoke to, Matt, just because we have about 10 seconds left. But you guys have some amazing stuff ahead, and it's been such a blessing to be partnered with you and continue to be partnered with you on that. But
You are a catalyst.
Yeah.
Veterans
Thank you for
Rescue
everything,
Mission,
John. We
Common
couldn't
Good
be here
Radio.
without you.
I appreciate it. But all that being said, thank you. But how can people, one, get a hold of Hero Breakfast and nominate a hero, and then how can they get a hold of Desert Sunset Realty to sell or buy their house?
You can nominate a hero at herobreakfast.com, or you can send us an email at herobreakfast@desertsunsetrealtytucson.com.
You can reach me, Leah Crandall, at 404-6869, area code 520. Also, email Leah at desertsunsetrealtytucson.com.
Well, Matt and Leah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Definitely go to Desert Sunset Realty. And as always, we want to thank all of our amazing sponsors, all of our amazing supporters. And if all the sunshine in your life has gone away, there's probably not any radio playing anymore. I'm so gone.